3, 2, 1.
What's up, everybody? Ian Walsh here, Hard Money Bankers, joined my partners Ryan Walsh and Josh Weidman of Hard Money Bankers. What's going on, guys?
Yo.
How you doing? We have a fantastic guest that we've had on the show several times, Pam Rosser Thistle. Pam, how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Awesome. I just want to give a little bit of introduction to anybody that has not been on the show with you before. You're an extremely established realtor in the Philadelphia Center City area mainly. Fitler Square, Society Hill, west to east, Fairmount, South Philadelphia. You were one of the top 100 realtors in Pennsylvania, America's Best in 2022. And you're like one of those people that when I'm online or on social media or something like that, I just always associate you as like one of the big realtors in the area. That's like what I think in my head. So, so it's fantastic having you on again, and welcome.
Oh, thank you. It's great. It's always great to be here. Yeah.
So I wanted to let's just get caught right up into it. Each time we've talked now, the market has been changing, and we're still there. What's happening in your space, in that Center City market? What's going on?
So it's a little bit, I feel like the traction isn't there that's been there in past years, as far as the amount of activity, listings. Some of them are selling quickly, but then some of them that should be selling quickly are not. Pricing is difficult because when you go based on comps, as you said, the market is changing all the time. And where are we? We're kind of floating in the sixes. I can't even be more specific than that because it really fluctuates as far as the rates, and that has impact. But we are past the Super Bowl, so that is the official start of spring market. So weather plays into it too. So I don't know. I love cold and this. Like I was out showing yesterday. Like, oh, are you going to cancel? No, why? Like, just put some boots on. So and it was all melted by noon, and that's usually how it works. So anyway, but some people will. The news is saying stay in, and people get scared, and so I think that the weather too, you get more people out.
Yeah, you get that stretch of like warm weather, and all of a sudden, all the phone starts ringing, and everybody's out. Like that's a real thing. You're right. I mean,
it is a real thing. Yeah.
Just bumping into you, a few times, I can tell you're an eternal optimist. So loving the snow and like you could go outside, it could be raining, you'd be like, you know what? I like the rain today, and that's how it is, So, whereas like
cute umbrella, I have so many cute umbrellas.
Right, exactly. You'll make something out of the day, right? Whereas you take Ryan here on the lower right corner, completely moved across the country to avoid the cold. So, Ryan's like, I'm out. So, But the market has definitely shifted, and definitely we're seeing it too. I had contacted you recently about a project that we might have to be dealing with, and we're still waiting on that. That's not. I did not forget about you there. It's still in limbo, but it's in your space, and we're like, we looked at the number and we said, man, it should be moving at this number. It should have moved at this number. So like, what are you just seeing rapid price drops in the higher, $500,000, $600,000 range? Like, what are you seeing to combat that?
It takes longer, and sometimes things don't sell. We're not like the suburbs. Not everything sells. Condos can be a little more challenging. It depends on the building, if there are assessments, how many are for sale, what size it is. For example, like in certain buildings, you have a 2-bedroom, 2-bath with southern exposure and a balcony. That'll go really fast. It doesn't matter what the market is, but then you might have one that has a compromised view, or the size, like certain sizes can be harder to sell. Somebody might have been aggressive with the pricing. Like buildings are priced by the building, like the same view or location of, say, Rittenhouse Square, Washington Square, the buildings all priced differently. So if somebody is comes in and, maybe they're not familiar with the Center City market, and they price a building based on, like, they take a look at 10 Rittenhouse or the Rittenhouse Hotel, like, that's not going to be the same. Those aren't the same comps for another building. So it's very, and I think the whole Center City is like that. It can be based on school districts, or even side of the block, or the light, or the lot size. Like, the house that we were talking about in, I never want to, like, say, but anyway, I mean, that's a short lot. That's a short lot. So when you have deep lots, that's going to really be beneficial. The width, the depth. So there are a lot of specific information that you can't just look at, say, the square footage or the zip code.
Sure.
That's not enough.
So you're finding that, like, the stuff that's going to move has to be the deeper lot, or I guess anything moves at any price, at whatever price it's relevant to, but you're not really getting, like, you're paying for the premium stuff right now. Is that what you're suggesting?
It's been, ever since COVID, it's been very personal as far as what people are buying. And sometimes it's not the on paper best house. It's maybe they're, like, a lot of grandparents moving in to be close to their grandkids. And it might be a second home, or they might actually be moving here. And so they want to be close. They say, I don't, it would be too far of a walk if I'm on this block. So, and sometimes people may have lived here before. You get that a lot in Old City, actually, people who had, like, their great days there, and then they come back. So they might like a certain block. So there's a lot of very personal selection that's happening. There are even families who are living in the same high-rise building, like at Academy House, or I'm sorry, Symphony House, like, oh, my parents are there, and then my brother, and where, like, it's kind of a nice way to all be together, but have separate spaces.
Do you deal with, like, the same family frequently? Like, is that?
Yeah,
I
do. Yeah. The way I go about selling and helping people is really a core group of like a couple hundred people, I guess. And so then that just keep, referrals, and then also just being around in my market where I sell, like walking around, or someone comes to an open house and I talk to them. So I keep it pretty tight. I'm not, I know that other agents have expanded their geography. They might be selling at the shore, or another state like Florida or Delaware or something like that. And they seem to pull it off. I don't do that, but I think everybody needs to figure out what works for them. So, and it depends on the broker format. Like, there's the broker called EXP, and they seem to do a lot all over the place. I don't quite. They seem successful, but I don't, I can't wrap my head around that.
Josh, you say something?
Yeah, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
So inventory has been a real issue, over the last several years, right? And it's a big part of why prices have continued to increase, even as the market or the interest rates have gone up. Have you been able to find the type of properties that your clients are looking for, or has that continued to be a challenge, or is this something that you're starting to see is loosening up a little bit?
Well, the city has always been more balanced. In the suburbs, it's because I have referral partners in the suburbs, and then just from social media and other places, I have an idea of what's going on in the suburbs, and I know that the inventory is extremely limited, and they're like multiple bids in the double digits for many houses. The city has more units. You just, look at it from a bird's eye view. There are more units, and people are in Philadelphia, sometimes to stay for a long time, generations. But then also some have 4-year programs with hospitals or with Penn. And so there might be reasons why they are coming and going under like less time that they would be in the city, and then they would sell at the end. And the problem with a lot of the challenge is with the rates were so low. And so buyers during the pandemic, they locked into very low rates in the 3s and even lower. And so they don't want to give up what they have, that good rate. But the thing is, about probably like 40 or more, 40 to 50% of the buyers are cash. So when they're cash, they don't have a rate that's holding them back. So
40 to 50% of your buyers, retail, or all cash?
In Center City, yeah, probably. I would say.
Wow,
I would say
it's a good bit of liquidity.
Yeah,
it's not.
I mean, it depends. It's on the low and the high. That's usually where the cash is.
Right. Yeah,
like
sure.
The and under, like on the low, because like investors like buying, and then the high end is usually cash. Like the over $1 million is usually cash.
Makes sense. I mean, the middle class is your leverage.
And then the middle is more often mortgages.
Yeah, exactly.
That follows, national averages too. I mean, there's something like 40 to 50% of all single family homes are owned without a mortgage. So, I mean, that would make a lot of sense. Okay.
I think more so recently, there's been a widening of the wealth, I guess you would say. Like,
wealth gap.
It's gotten really, you can tell because you look at the buyer's financial information forms, and they have gotten, some people made a lot of money, and then others are, more are struggling. So anyway, you see that. And so then I feel like there are more cash buyers out there. I don't know the percentage, but it feels like it.
Yeah, the wealth gap feels like it's coming to a head in terms of you can only separate that so much, and then all of a sudden, it's interesting with that observation you're making. So let's ask this: where do you think? Any idea where you might think we're going here over the next 6 or 8 months? Or
I talk to my manager a lot because I always think he knows everything.
Okay,
he usually does. So we were talking, and I think it's just going to be a slow and steady year. That probably pretty much like last year, maybe a little bit of the pent up demand from buyers when the rates were 8. Then they said no way. So there might be a little bit of an uptick from the buyers that were sidelined by the high rates. So I would say, I don't think it's going to be anything noteworthy. I don't even know why why Powell said at the end of the year that rates were going to go down, and he was so specific about it. I thought, why did he say that? Like, where did that come from? And then he walked that back really fast.
Yeah, I mean, it seems pretty.
Like, why did he even say that?
It seems intentional, though, right? Yeah,
I remember I watch a lot of C-SPAN, so I remember I was like, what is he saying? But yeah, so it seems as though rates are going to be in the 6s this year, and they'll fluctuate. There's been a lot of fluctuation. And then we always say like, if it can be below 6, then that will create a pop. But I don't know. I think we just have to see what happens with all the numbers that they look at, the employment numbers. And then we have an election that, sometimes they can manipulate to try to, so there are things that can happen in an election year too. So I'm just keeping my head down and doing what I always do. And I don't think there's going to be any you should wait until this time. Just do it when you're ready. I mean, that's real. I mean, the spring market is always, there's more opportunity for sellers then because there are more buyers out. But I don't think there are any showstoppers this year. I think we're just going to
volatility will be low then.
Keep going. Yeah.
You think low volatility. So you don't think much one way or the other.
I think it's just, it's, and it might disappoint those who like a lot of drama and flash and everything, but I think you just have to be kind of boring.
Drama and flash is fine outside of our industry.
I'm done with drama.
Yeah. Do it outside the industry.
So so I think that you just have to really help people and understand what they are, what they're trying to do. Like I was over at someone's house a couple weeks ago, and she's not moving for five or so years, but she needs to get her house ready because she's been there a long time and she has a lot to go through. And I understand that. So, and it could be, and it's somebody who's older. And I said, you don't want to be caught short if something happens. I've seen it before where somebody breaks a hip or something, and then boom, they have to move in with a family member in another state and somebody else takes care of the house. And it's sad because they're not able to go through things. So, so I think it's always a good idea to be ready just in case. But I try to help people figure out what makes sense to do. And I don't think there is any kind of clock as far as, oh, you have to do it now. Like any kind of, I don't think there's any rush, but it's, it's better in the spring, but I don't see anything big, but I hope I'm not going to eat my words because look at the world.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Everybody
is 5 years. Who would have known?
No, everybody, we just had 2 weeks ago, we had a guy on. He's like, mark my words, March is going to be a fury like 2020. So
really?
It's all over the board. But I love that everybody takes a shot at it because none of us know. And we all know we don't know.
No, I don't know.
It's okay. We just adapt.
And they always have that October surprise. Isn't that part of politics?
Yeah, right. So,
I hope that is nothing big.
Pam, I got to tell you, I am throwing my lot in with you. I hope you're right. I don't think we've had a stable market where there hasn't been something crazy happening since like 2018, 2019, right? It would be amazing if we could just get back to like some normal where interest rates are predictable, housing appreciation is reasonable or stable. You know what I mean? It's been a roller coaster and I mean, for the most part, it's been an up roller coaster, but there's always there's big spikes. There's always the fear of that drop off right at the end too.
Mm-hmm.
So
I know it's hard to know, but I think you just have to live in your day to day. And when I price listings, I wait until right before we go on the market because it's so volatile. So as I'm going over to someone's house today, just to check and see how things are coming along. And I'm going to wait right before because something could sell that could impact the value. You have to see where you are. It is, but I'm hoping that it's stable. I mean, that would be good. And you just have to work hard and work, with your heart too, like understanding and connecting with your clients about what their situation is and what makes sense for them. And that's why I'm not like a big machine with tons of trying to hit like some number of transactions or something. It's more just as I connect and help people get them through whatever it is they're trying to do. So and that's what I'm going to do. And whatever happens.
I think that's going to be the whole year is going to be people like you who are just the experts in their niche.
Yeah.
You're going to do well this year because you're not really having the situation of people saying, I don't really know what I want anymore. It's more like if I'm going to center Philly, I'm giving Pam a call because she knows it better than anyone. And it's just, they find you at this point. Right. And I think the experts of the areas are what you need right now to navigate real estate. You
really do. Yeah. You have to keep it calm because a lot of people are, they're mentally like they're nervous, they're anxious, just in general. So I think you really have to give, because I know, so I was on the flip side, my husband died in November And so I've been relying on different professionals in different ways. And it's given me perspective on what I want to be, because I want to be what I was looking for. And you don't want drama. You want the confidence that the person can accomplish the task. And a little bit of empathy, but not over the top. And don't go crazy with that. So having somebody who's just very solid and knowledgeable and doesn't bring all this flash, because that is just, it's annoying actually. And it's very, you feel like you're being tricked, or so just to get the job done with some compassion, but not over the top. So, balance. And that's what I want to be. Like, I feel like the funeral director was that. He was so helpful. And then you start to trust their recommendations, and you respect their network. And that's all very important. People are always asking me for all kinds of contractors or advice, and I have all that. So, and I'm happy to share it, but it's, you need it when you're in, and when you're selling real estate, sometimes it is for a reason of distress. Sometimes it's preference, but you want to be able to be that solid resource and a human being to help people get through that process, or the joy of buying your first house. I love that. That's always, and I always think it's a good idea. I mean, I really do, because it creates, with the appreciation, it is smart financially. So, yeah. So anyway, so that's what this year I'm going to be doing that. And I don't know how many people are going to be out there this year. I feel like it's not going to be gangbusters, but probably steady.
Steady's good, and I think steady is good. I think that's a good place to leave this, and it's really good to have, you're a voice of confidence. So in this space, that's good to hear that as well for other people seeing this, because it gives other people confidence to move forward. So if people wanted to reach out to you, Pam, we've been scrolling your email across the bottom, pam.thistle@foxroach.com, and so we look forward to the next 6 or 8 month show. It's
always good to see you, and nice to meet you too. It's the three of you today. That's great.
So thank you very much, Pam. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, thanks. Good to see you guys.
Thanks,
Pam.
Okay. All right. Bye.